please welcome to the stage a representative from Enveda.
All right, hello. Thank you for having me. My name's Dan Wee. I'm with Enveda. We translate life's chemistry into new medicines. But before I tell you how we do it, I want to tell you a bit about why we do it. I'm going to take you on a journey into one of the greatest unknowns of science, into how life works, in fact. I want to take you on a journey into how your breakfast becomes you. And doing that, we have to go into the molecular realm. We need to go inside the cells, beyond the proteins, beyond the DNA, into the fundamental molecule of life, into chemistry. This is thymine. It's one of the molecules that makes up the code of your DNA, A, T, G, and C, in this case, T. It is an essential component of life, but it itself, its presence does not define what is living. It is the transformation of chemistry is what defines life. Does anyone here know how thymine is made? Any guesses? Amino acids, that's a good guess. It actually undergoes several transformations from something I hope all of you had today, which will help you listen to my talk, and that's sugar, also known as glucose. Glucose is essential to your body, but glucose itself undergoes many transformations. In fact, the transformation from glucose to become thymine undergoes all of these transformations that you're seeing here, going from one molecule into another molecule. It's incredible, actually. Every single second, your body is undergoing many chemical transformations to turn that breakfast into you. But this is just actually one of many different types of things that happens in your body. In fact, these chemical transformations are happening so quickly. There's 80 million transformations that are happening in one of your cells in just a second. If I were to tell you that you traveled 80 million miles in a second, you would have made it from here to over 90% of the way to the sun. That's how many transformations are happening. In an average adult, that's 3.3 septillion transformations that happens in the span of about this talk. Septillion, that is a number that I had to learn for this talk, right? Let me put it in a different context for you guys. That is the number of stars in the known universe. If you look up at the night sky and I were to turn off every star that wasn't in our galaxy, you'd only see a couple stars left. That's how many stars there are. But what about the chemical universe? I'm showing you that here. Every dot here represents a chemical. Let's pull up glucose again. This is what glucose looks like. Its elemental structure. We know that glucose is there because we're able to detect its signal through something called mass spectrometry. A mass spectrometer can read out different molecules and give us a signal there. For many molecules, that's all we see. It's just this signal. How many of these signals are out there that we actually know? Any guesses? 1,000? Thousands, more, thousands. That's it. That's all we know. I just turned off every light in the sky of the chemicals that we know are out there, but we don't know what they look like. That is 0.01%. Every experience that you have, the world you observe, is boiled down to these chemical reactions. And understanding it is boiled down to 0.01%. That's a phenomenally low number, right? Understanding these chemicals gives us a better understanding of not just how DNA works and proteins, it gives us an understanding of what it means to be living. A live cell and a dead cell, they both have DNA and proteins. It is the chemical transformations that drives what it means to be alive. It is much more than creating DNA. It is the energy you need to perform. It is the emotions that you feel. It is the world that you experience. Not DNA, but chemistry. So how are we unlocking this chemistry? At Enveda, we have developed the first chemical sequencer that the world has ever seen to unlock these molecules. We have taught machines to learn the language. Is this going to work? It should not have gone back. All right. Are you able to see this? Okay. Well, I'll continue. We have taught machines the language of chemistry, the same way that ChatGPT has learned our verbal language itself, translating these signals, known as spectra, into what are the structures. We've also implemented deep robotics and scale across experimentation to not just figure out what they look like, but what do they do in the context of biology. In other words, we're understanding the form and the function of life's chemistry. In short, Enveda is using this to unlock massive potential into new medicines, but it goes much further than that. Imagine what you can do if you knew how life worked, from agriculture to manufacturing to food to all sorts of things, including diagnostics. We're already in the clinic with several molecules that will be transformative to people with atopic dermatitis, inflammatory bowel disease, and also even obesity this year. We're taking these chemicals that are made by a cell for a cell and developing into new medicines, and ultimately trying to understand what is the code of life, but even beyond that, what is the code of living? Thank you. Any questions? How long have we been working on this project? We were founded in 2019. We got our first seed round in 2020, which was the pandemic. We started from basically nothing. And if you recall at the time, that's when Transformers first kind of made it onto the scenes, this model for AI. And we built this all from scratch. And to say that we're in the clinic, starting from nothing, is a true testament not only to the team that I have here with my colleagues, but also the advancements of AI and its applicability. And furthermore, actually leveraging nature. Sometimes we think of innovation as something completely new, but innovation sometimes can come from an old idea that is made possible with new inventions. And so for us to get to where we are now is truly groundbreaking. Anyone else?
How many clinical trials are you in?
What's that?
How many drugs are in clinical trials that have been developed on your platform?
Yeah, so we actually, our first clinical stage candidate for atopic dermatitis, it's a completely new mechanism for inflammation. It just finished its phase 1 with flying colors. We have 3 more that are entering into clinical trials this year. So, all right. Any more questions? How many
Yeah, intellectual property, patents, trademark, and copyright.
Oh, an endless, a mountain of patents. You know, it's a funny thing with patents is that, you know, you have to balance, you know, what you're doing, but also, you know, we are trying to do something that I think the industry is not doing, which is advancing nature and life's chemistry into the foray again. If you actually look at pharma today, what you'll see is a lot of synthetic molecules, molecules that have existed in the lab, right? And so we find ourselves as being not only stewards of this technology, but stewards of nature and being able to promote that globally within the industry. So we have a healthy amount of patents, but we also have a healthy amount that we like to disclose as well. Any other questions? Well, if there's no further questions, I'll leave you with this. I hope that you've learned something about chemistry and something about the mystery that still remains in our own lives that we experience every day. It's not just about DNA, but it's also about incorporating other things like this chemical knowledge that we're building on at Enveda. And we hope to transform your lives and the lives of your loved ones as we do ourselves. So thank you so much.